Howdy diddly dandy there, chums, 'tis I, Captain of the Steves, and today, chums, for you guys out there in the viewerverse, I want to talk a little bit about No Man's Sky and this latest update that we have that has introduced these new Corvette ships. Now, a lot of people would say, yeah, they're definitely new ships, and they are. However, some of the conceptual artwork, years ago, actually contained said concepts of ship. So let me find the image for you, people. Chums, this is the actual artwork that I'm on about. Now, if I just jump off the screen slightly so you can see it a little bit better, you can see there's like a Corvette-sized ship up there. And then there is this other Corvette-type looking ship down here. And it says the art of No Man's Sky, and there is quite a lot of images here. And some of those images depict a ship that looks larger than the ships that we have now, that could quite possibly be a Corvette-sized ship, not just this one piece of artwork. Like this one here. I mean, that obviously looks bigger than the ships that we have now, and is very much indifferent to the ships that we have now, isn't it, really, at the same time. This one, when I click this, it actually goes smaller than it looks here. Look, can't make it much bigger than that either. But this one's got the side thrusters. Yes, it looks a little bit like a hauler, but it also looks like it's got a door at the side, and it looks larger than a conventional hauler. I'd say that's maybe Corvette ship sized, especially when you look at the size of the windows on this thing. So there is sort of subtle hints in some of the old conceptual artwork that Hello Games may have had on at some point on the drawing table. Things that may have been Corvette ships going back then. Now, I do love the actual artwork that has been drawn and worked on by the actual crew at Hello Games. There is a lovely video here, which I'm tempted to play, and we could watch it together quickly, people, just to give you an idea of their art direction and also their inspiration behind some of the ships that we're seeing now. Now, you're probably thinking, Cap Steve, why are you putting together a video like this? Well, I was talking about how I felt that when I was reading the patch notes, that this is very much a Starfield-esque type update, and it's obvious that they've taken inspiration from Starfield. But I'm also thinking that Hello Games probably had the idea and the concept for Corvette ships, perhaps before No Man's Sky got realised into a game, and it was something maybe that they toyed with but perhaps couldn't put into the game at the time. Yes, they may have used some inspiration from Starfield, but I wouldn't be surprised if inside of their offices that there might be artwork. And you can see artwork and inspiration on their walls inside of this video that could actually share to that sort of notion and idea. So let's hit play on here. Let's watch this together, shall we? Yes, clear. Let's get into this. So I'll leave my music playing, because I think some of their music might be copyrighted, so hopefully it'll blend into one and I won't get striked. But enjoy, people. Saw a load of ships there, for example. Ships that aren't in game inside
From
the
day
concept
one,
art.
it's definitely been like sci-fi book covers. The colourful worlds you'd see on the front of like Asimov or Clarke, so people like Chris Foss or John Harris, those kind of artists that would create these kind of science fiction worlds that, I want to go there, I want to explore that world. And that's kind of the visual, the kind of vibe we're trying to get with No Man's Sky.
For the inspiration for the creatures is mostly just from like real life. Like I have a huge Pinterest board just full of creatures from the world, glowing things and tendrils and we kind of find different ways of using those in different creatures.
We're going to Bo Lab's art page in a bit.
As you get close to the centre, things become a little bit more unsettling and things start to become unusual. That's how we keep that sense of progression that you want to keep going to the next planet, because for me, when I'm playing the game, that's always what I'm doing. I want to get to the next planet just to see what weird thing am I going to see next.
Shame that doesn't happen now. It's kind of copy and pasted now.
The sci-fi of the 60s and 70s, something like Chris Foss, right? His ships are always what I would call bloated. They're sort of illogical when you look at them. They could never have landed because they've got these round bottoms and stuff like that. We actually have to make it work. So we're trying to take these ideas and these crazy, vibrant colors, and we're trying to make it into something that's real, that you could actually walk around, that would be good for like gameplay purposes. I think that's the No Man's Sky style. It's kind of artistic and, it looks a little bit painterly, but you can hopefully feel like it's a real place. There's some sense of reality and scale that makes sense.
I think the reality is more to what they've leaned to now.
When the guys, because originally there were 4 of the guys, kind kind of putting together the very base like structure of the game. When they started talking about creating a procedural game, it's pretty much the first time that like I'd heard that word used so frequently, you know.
It's the first time I've like done any procedural art. You get much more value for like the individual parts you make. You're not making a part and then that's it. That part gets used on loads of different creatures or ships and stuff.
Basically, you have to have the bigger picture in mind at all times, because you might be making like a tiny piece of a creature or an NPC, say like an ear or something like that, but that ear could show up on like any creature, you know, at any point in the game.
It's definitely been a big learning process, but it's just so interesting to see all the kind of things that it comes up with. You know, creatures that we didn't think would be flying around or walking on 2 feet, and you just, you know, you'd never, as an artist, be like, oh, I'm just going to make this creature do this, but it's just really interesting to see all the variation.
It's very easy to create a system that produces thousands of different looking objects or different looking trees and things, but to actually create a system that produces thousands of interesting looking objects, things that you actually, you know, as an artist, you might build them by hand. That's where the system becomes really difficult. So we have a really complex kind of color theory system. So they all obey rules like leaves having complementary colors compared to the grass and things like that. And the same goes for kind of silhouettes. So if a planet's like very hot, we'll have things like everything kind of becomes a little bit more dried out. You'll get more sharp shapes. A planet has a personality. That's kind of what we're going for.
The creature's appearance is directly tied into the creatures, like you know, how they act and how they move around the world. So a large creature will, you know, move slower, and like its animation is more lumbering, as well as like a predator. If a predator creature, you'll know it's a predator creature because it has like more spikes, tougher skin, you know, bigger teeth and things like that.
Everything we make in No Man's Sky comes from a foundation, so we'll have a set of blueprints, and because we're all adding to these blueprints, it means that I'll not only see results that I didn't expect from a procedural system, but also, you know, Jake might have been involved, so suddenly, you know, I'll see some of Jake's things, and it's really cool from that point of view.
Grant and Sean, they both are constantly sat next to us, basically. You know, we're quite a small studio. Their art direction really keeps us on target, you know, and keeps us consistent.
It's quite nice. They give us the freedom to kind of make things ourselves, but if there's something they know they want in a particular way, it's nice to just be able to hassle them and say, is this what you want? And, you know, it's a lot of back and forth like that.
If you're working on anything creative, like, you instantly lose perspective. I find it all the time, just doing my own work. So I think that's what me and Grant, to a larger extent, are there for, to just kind of keep that perspective, keep that fresh set of eyes. We definitely have a vision, but I think that's shared by all the team. I'm just there to just keep repeating the same things over and over again.
I'm super excited to see what people find and what people really like. I'm hoping to see like animated GIFs and things like that of people finding weird things and sharing them with their friends and that kind of stuff, because I don't know what they'll find. At this stage of a project, usually you'll know the game inside out, you'll know every single piece of artwork, you'll be ready for it to release. And at this stage in No Man's Sky, we are still landing on planets and still meeting a creature or seeing a planet and being like, wow.
Well, there you go, everyone. So just jump back over onto the screen for a second. So I'm now over on Bo Lamb's art station. You just saw him in that video. Quite a lovely chap, to be fair. And you can see that there's quite a lot of artwork that Bo Lamb has done that looks like it's inspirational, perhaps even for Light No Fire. So it could be that we've got subtle hints inside of this art station. Well, maybe what's to come in Light No Fire, but scrolling down a little bit further, just to show that there may have been concepts on the table during the creation of No Man's Sky, it's like this ship here by Bo Lamb. You can see the actual player model there, projecting up some sort of technology thing in the air. But look at the size of the ship. That's definitely more of a Corvette-sized ship. I love the idea of landing on planets where you've got real-life dragons flying around. A part of me really hoped that what I was seeing here was conceptual artwork for Light No Fire. I thought we was going to get like a procedural galaxy yet again. Maybe with less planets or less systems or less galaxies or whatever. but to have a fantasy feel, maybe Jedi-like abilities, swords, magic, that sort of stuff, with dragons flying around. I think that would have been pretty darn cool. Think Lord of the Rings crossed with World of Warcraft and No Man's Sky, you know. But anyway, that's one of his images right there. But there's quite a few images in here. It's like this one here that looks like a hummingbird ship. Now, Scottish Rod has actually made a ship that looks very much like an eagle inside a No Man's Sky, inside of this new Voyagers update. So go check out Scottish Rod's video, because it's pretty darn freaking gnarly. Like, yes, it is. Now, you can see here that the colour palettes are very Chris Foss. They're very bright, they're very colourful. As I said, that they were using sort of, you know, Chris Foss as a general sort of rule of thumb when it comes to, you know, focus and what they were aiming for. I mean, things may have moved on, things may have changed since then. But yeah, I'd say the ships here, I think there's at least a couple of examples of where there may have been considering doing Corvette-sized ships. I mean, you look at this building structure, see the size of the ship, you could immediately say, oh, well, that's a hauler. I don't know, because you see all these little lights on this building. If they're windows, then that is definitely quite a large ship, isn't it? It's quite a large shippy ship. But then if you think, actually, no, that's a boundary failure, these giant rings, then, you know, ships already fit through these things, so they're not as big as perhaps a Corvette ship. But I kind of feel that this is a Corvette-sized ship, and I hope we get Corvette-sized landing pads to go with them at some point, people. Now, when it comes to the actual art style of No Man's Sky, I'm wondering whether they could just add in some sort of Foss filter. You know, when you go into camera mode, you've got loads of different camera filters. It'd be nice inside of the actual game settings if they had a load of filtered settings that you could actually set on top of the actual game itself. So I came across this video. It's like a Cowboy Bebop sort of inspired video, but this is very cel shaded. Check this out. Now, there is Cowboy Bebop music playing. Like, if I mute it just for a second. Yeah, don't really want to get copyrighted for that, but it's too great to miss out completely. This is the old building style of buildings on bases, on planets. This planet-side buildings used to look like this. It was very, very basic. Our freighter bases, when we could build freighter bases, were very basic as well. Where I'm going with this is, at the moment, our actual new ships, these Corvette ships, the interiors are very basic right now. I feel that in time, perhaps they might give them a little bit of a facelift, like they have done with our freighter bases and also ground bases. You know, it was very cuboid systems in the first place, in the first instance. I mean, yes, you can still make these things, but they gave it a serious uplift. And I hope in future they do the same with the actual ships that we have right now inside of the new Voyagers update. But what I'm trying to get at inside of this video is, could Hello Earth Games already have maybe conceptualized the idea of Corvettes right back in conception? However, they couldn't actually implement them in-game. So although that we're saying, well, they've just nicked this straight out of Starfield, perhaps the actual building engine in the way that they're modular and how they all connect together. But I'm fairly confident to say, after seeing this video and looking at all the conceptual artwork, that perhaps Hello Games had already tabled the idea of larger ships. But at the time, technologically, they just didn't really have the nous on how to put it together and bring it in. And maybe they've only just cracked that in time inside their engine, inside of Light No Fire, and they've lifted and shifted it into No Man's Sky. And I say that because Sean Murray kind of said that in the other video. He mentioned that inside of Light No Fire, you could actually build your own boats to traverse the seas. So I'm wondering whether we can actually make our own galleon-esque type ships inside of Light No Fire, from what I'm gathering here. And I'm really hoping, if that is the case inside of Light No Fire, whether those ships have multiplayer aspects to them, like man in the cannons. You can have a player on a cannon to fire out at sea, and the reason being perhaps there's giant sea monsters or something. There better be something to do on that boat, because if it is an Earth-sized planet with Earth-sized oceans, it could take days to travel these seas. I need to have something inside those seas to make it interesting. Otherwise, I'm just getting on a dragon and flying over it. And I'll probably do that in single player as well, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's an interesting one. I can't wait to see more and learn more about Light No Fire. But anyway, I just wanted to table the idea that perhaps Hello Games has already conceptualized these ships beforehand, and maybe we need to give them a bit more credit on their ship designs and also the part designs that make up these new Corvette ships. Captain Steve, oh Captain Steve, oh Captain, Captain. Heck yeah. Why not hit that like and subscribe? Thank you very much. So for those people that didn't see the deep dive video, here it is. So this is Sean and Murray talking about the new Voyagers ships and their inspiration and how they came about.
If you could build your own ship, if you could get up and walk around mid-flight, build a crew of friends and adventure together, your ship is maybe the most important character in No Man's Sky. It's so central to the game that now when we change it, everything in the game feels completely different. The ships have real interiors, med bays, sleeping quarters, war rooms, radars, teleporters. It changes how you play. And then there are these moments, just looking out of the window, the universe flying by, and it's changing how the game feels too. Building your own ship, decorating it with friends, your own space that you share together, everyone with their own roles, it feels really special. Building a spaceship, it's really different to building a base in No Man's Sky. You can show it off in the space anomaly, you play in it with friends, it's with you on every planet, every adventure, it's your home. This has been one of the biggest undertakings for our little team. Every area of the game has to be reworked in some way. Having your multiplayer crew walking around, just calmly editing your ship as it travels at warp speeds towards a planet. It's actually pretty insane what's going on behind the scenes to make all of that work. And then on our other game, Light No Fire, you have these real oceans to navigate. We need boats and crews, and this tech is being developed for both games. Voyagers is version 6.0. It's a big milestone, honestly one of our biggest updates. What I love is that it opens up a whole new path for the future. We can't wait to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, Charms, I can't wait either. I do see a lot of potential and a lot of what was delivered inside of this update. I really do. A heck of a lot of potential. It's like even the skydiving elements. Imagine skydiving down on a pirate dreadnought and laying plastic explosives or something and then flying back up to your ship and detonating it. That'd be freaking ace if they do sort of move into those sort of realms and we can have that sort of fun and that sort of shenanigans playing about. But at the same time, the actual ship building malarkey, I have seen so much from the community so far. You've only just got to jump on over to the Twitter feed and it's alight with people's creations. It's freaking amazing. Let's go on over. Let's take a quick look, shall we? So here we go. Somebody that tweets out quite a lot of cool ship designs at the moment is Martin Griffiths. He actually works at Hello Game, so he looks into the design aspect of No Man's Sky, you know, visual stuff inside the game. If something's flickering, he's the man to fix it. Anyway, let's jump on over onto the old Tinterwebs. And let's scroll on down and let's take a quick look at some of the actual ships that I've seen him retweet out. He's retweeted out a beautiful one that looks like a giant pirate galleon. But yeah, pretty darn cool. He's been working closely inside a PlayStation VR to get the Fovaic rendering to work, which is now inside a game, which is pretty darn cool. That's a nice one, sharing out, you know, LZ's tweet, you know, his son enjoying No Man's Sky. I had my godchildren over at the weekend. They thoroughly enjoyed it too. I made a vlog video of that. If you want to see it, hit it up. Because yeah, they were blown away from being able to fly from planet to planet and build stuff. Amazing. They played it in VR as well. Corvette's bite beat track. Look at that. I've actually got a... Have they actually managed to get a bite beat working? No way. I didn't think it would work because there's no power up there. They've managed to do it. You're going to have to do a video on that, Artisan, how you actually got that to work. That's cool. Don't worry, be happy. I think the guy that actually made that song jumped out of a window. But there we go. We got this. This is a lovely ship. That puts mine to shame. I need to rebuild mine. This looks like a Viking destroyer, doesn't it? If you had the Viking standing next to that, I'd be like, yeah. Then other people would probably say, actually, no, it looks more like Atlas inspired. I'm saying it's going to be Corvettes. But no, that does look freaking awesome. And look, they've added in ceiling lights on the top of it. I need to really push my boundaries on how I'm actually building my ship. I'm seeing so much for inspiration amongst these. This is the one that I'm on about that, yeah, Martin has tweeted out. It's an actual ship. That's an actual ship in Voyagers, made to look like some sort of pirate galleon. That's just such an awesome idea. You know, if you want to roleplay as a space pirate, that's the ship you want, isn't it? Freaking amazing. There's some amazing ships going on. There's Martin's office. Yeah, that's an office of a busy man right there, isn't it? I've got cables and stuff all over the place, and a phone rest that looks fairly similar, apart from mine's got a Captain Steve logo on it. But yeah, I've got wires everywhere, and so is he. Pretty darn freaking gnarly though. Freaking cool. But yeah, I'm seeing a heck of a lot happening outside of there in the verse. I mean, look at that. That looks like a larger version of a fighter. That looks a bit like my fighter, in fact. That is an epic reworking of a Corvette ship to make it look like a current ship. The creativity of the people inside this community is just second to none. I mean, it's only been out, what, a week at best? And this is the sort of thing we're doing now? Now? You think what it's going to be like in 2 months' time? 6 months' time? The type of ships that they're going to be rocking around. I can't wait to see what Beeble and the glitch builders do with these things, because I bet they do wonders. I saw Scottish Rod done a video the other day, and he's built something mental. I mean, look at this. Looks like the Eye of Sauron. Yeah, that is mental. Yeah, there's a lot of good ship builds being made right now, people. There really is. Now, I did chuckle a bit as Sean was doing his deep dive and saying about multiplayers being able to construct their ships as they fly across the galaxy. Yeah, the reason I chuckled then, chums, is me and my chums on the Friday, we do the weekend mission running, and we tried to use one of our ships, one of our new Corvette ships, and to run the mission. However, I called in my Corvette ship and it landed on a landing pad. There's only 4 landing pads inside the spatial anomaly. Now, the weekend mission, there's a lot of popularity. People like to run the weekend mission. But we found that they were all calling in their Corvette ships. And then when we actually hit the mission up and we ran towards the ship, our ship was merged in with another ship. And we couldn't tell which ramp to get on. It was just pure bedlam. And then the frame rate dropped, it got all stuttery, it went horrible, and we decided in the end to actually fly to the station and just do a normal mission first of all from the Corvette ship's mapping screen, you know, the mission screen. We did it, and we did the Ancient Bones mission. It got to 22 bones of 22, so we'd completed the mission. But it didn't pop up and say that the mission had been completed. When we went back to the Corvette ship and hit up the mission screen, it just said leave mission. We couldn't actually complete the mission. So although Hello Games' patch notes say they've reworked the multiplayer missions, I honestly think they need a little bit more work, because the one that we did by chance just didn't work. We are going to be testing the weekend missions every single Friday. I already know that there's a load of patches inbound. It can only get better, can't it, essentially? But after all the patches have gone in and we're seeing less of the bugs that we saw every Friday, I am planning to do another review of this update. I've done a review of this update on launch with its current bugs that are all present. And I gave it like, what, an 8 out of 10. I mean, this update deserves higher if all the bugs are squashed. 100% it deserves higher once all the bugs are squashed. But at the time of launch, Xbox players were just getting a black screen when they booted up. And that's a large swathe of the community, a community that I have to voice concerns for. So obviously I'm not going to say there's a 10 out of 10 when a massive portion of the community can't even play it. And then the multiplayer aspect that is suggested to be fine and dandy and working, and you can actually build your ship mid-flight. Yeah, maybe. But right now, if you sit on a sofa on one of those ships, You phase through the ship and you fall into space. And that's in solo mode. In multiplayer, as bedlam. You got players drifting left, right, and centre. I can't give it a 10, as much as I'd love to, because it is one of my favourite updates of all time. And some of these bugs, they're comical, not game breaking, unless you're on Xbox and you get a black screen. I mean, yeah, that's kind of game breaking. I can't, in the right mind, give it anywhere close to a 10, can I? A lot of people say, Captain, you should have given it a 9. What? A 9, an 8. It's buggy as fudge. I can't say I can't give it a 9 even. You know, a 9 out of 10. I mean, what? That's probably the overall score that I'd give the game, a 9 out of 10. You know, it's a freaking fantastic game, but still multiplayer has got its issues. Again, because of bugs, I can't give it a 10, even though it's my favourite game of all time. And you're probably thinking, hold on, Captain Steve, didn't you give Elden Ring a 10 out of 10? Yes, I did. Elden Ring freaking works, okay? Elden Ring's freaking awesome as well. It's not my favourite game of all time. I like No Man's Sky more, but I gave it a lower rating because No Man's Sky is still full of bugs 9 years later. And multiplayer is held together by sticky tape and a prayer most weeks. Okay? So that's why I didn't give it a 10, even though it's my favourite game. Yeah, your favourite game doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 game. My favourite game is the one that brings me the most enjoyment and does what it says on the tin. It helps me relax. It helps me escape the real world. And No Man's Sky does that in spades. And No Man's Sky's got VR as well. It's so multifaceted. It's just a shame that the polish isn't in every sort of aspect right now. If it was a fully polished game and with no bugs, boom, 10 out of 10 all day long. And it will get to that stage. It will get to the stage. I swear. Well, I hope it does. I hope it does get to that stage. Heck yes. Anyway, you're probably wondering from this t-shirt. It's got little signatures on it, isn't it? It's lovely, isn't it? Got this from the No Man's Sky meetup, which was just a stone's throw away from Hello Games' studio where all the magic happens. That footage earlier, the art direction footage, that was in their old office though. That was in like when they were in this smaller office. That got flooded, that office. They're now upstairs and in a beautiful office with a big tree in the lobby and all sorts of stuff. And you may have seen snippets of it in more recent videos. I'd love to see a full tour of the Hello Games studio. Now, we hold our actual event just down the road at the Three Pigeons pub in Guildford. Year on year, next year will be the 10-year anniversary. Could be a good one, people. Now look, there's that artwork with the Corvette ships, and there's one down there on the beach as well. What a decent sort of image to end off on, people inside the viewerverse. So yeah, I just want to point out that these Corvette type looking ships were in early conceptual artwork. So for anybody that says, well, maybe Hello Games is nicking ideas from other places, maybe a little of that. I mean, I did say it tongue-in-cheek that we should call it the Starfield update. But at the same time, I kind of feel that Hello Games has probably got more of this conceptual artwork that we haven't even seen in drawers and binders and folders and on walls inside of their offices. So I wouldn't be surprised if the whole Corvette idea of ships was on the table well before. So anyway, people, that's what I wanted to say. And hopefully you might agree, you might not agree, but it's just something that's thought-provoking. Now, this was a Cup of Tea with Captain Steve episode. I've already recorded this video once without the mic on, and I've finished my cup of tea. This is the second rendition of it, so hopefully you've enjoyed it. I feel that I put a lot of effort into it, and hopefully it's helped you with the whole history of No Man's Sky, especially if you're like a new player to No Man's Sky. Hopefully this has helped a little. Now, something that one of the art directors said, Grant Duncan, is when you start out in the fringes of a solar system and you make your way to the centre, things get stranger, get more varied, and that's what pushes you on to go from planet to planet. I really wish Hello Games would re-bring that idea back in, because now that doesn't really happen. I really wish Hello Games would take the abandoned mode of No Man's Sky and make that more of a Hello Games original inspiration for how they hoped No Man's Sky would look. Like a Hello Games version of No Man's Sky, where if the community hadn't asked for certain things or pushed No Man's Sky in the way that it's evolved, perhaps just a Hello Games version of the game. A game where it looks more like art painted as well. Has the original sort of aesthetics, the art style. But not only that, also now that we have ships that have autopilot modules in, you know, maybe when you pick your planet, it asks you to input your X and Y coordinates. So you could have like the first couple of digits to at least land you somewhere in that close proximity. And it'd be nice if they added back in planetary rotation. And something that Grant Duncan mentioned there is the hotter planets look more barren. Well, the way they were hotter is they'd be closer to the sun. And they kind of removed all of that as well. Now if you try flying to the sun, you're going to realise quite soon that it's just a pixel. It's not an actual sun. It'd be nice if they brought the suns in, and those suns had influence on the actual planets and the life that was on them, whether they're barren, whether they've got life or not. And I hope Hello Games consider putting all that inside of abandon mode to make abandon mode a little bit more attractive to play. Because right now abandon mode is just like all the other modes, but without any NPCs. And to me that just doesn't feel worth doing a series on or a playthrough of. Abandon mode, I feel, shouldn't be as abandoned as it is. It should have perhaps the love and attention that Hello Games would have liked to have given at the start, knowing everything they know now. So make the game that they want to make inside of their ring-fenced, a Hello Gamesy type one, with the whole Fossey inspiration. Anyway, I think I'm touching over and going over the same ground. Hopefully it all makes sense to you in what I'm trying to convey. It does in my head. I just don't know whether it's come out verbally correct until I watch this back or see the comments flood in saying, "No, Captain Steve, you can't." Yeah, no, I'm just thinking. Normal mode, permadeath mode, relax mode even, all these different modes, custom mode, sandbox mode. We've got so many modes, right? Abandon mode, or maybe even have another mode then. A Hello Games mode, or a Chris Foss mode. I don't know, or just put in some filters so we can add that sort of art style back in if we wish. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the current art style. I just feel that the game has evolved and evolved again, and perhaps once more, to the point that Hello Games, when they look at the game now, they probably go, I miss some of that old art style, you know? I miss some of that visual sort of painted look. Because I think it is slowly moving more of the pendulum towards realistic vibe and realistic look. I mean, with the technology advancing, fine, yeah, it can do that. It can. But at the same time, some of the charm from those earlier versions of No Man's Sky, I'd very much like to see returned. I mean, we've got 256 galaxies. They don't even have to make a whole new mode. They could just say that every 9th galaxy, so Galaxy 9, 18, 27... 36, you know, 9 times table stuff, is Chris Foss inspired, original vanilla, graphic-y type stuff. So if you do want to go play there, it's out there for you. It's Galaxy 9 and 18 and so forth and so on. So there's different ways they could implement my idea, although, you know, it's just an idea. And I don't know why I've just slapped this on as a caveat at the end of the video. I didn't do this in the first take. I just kept it to the Corvette ships. Let's bring it back, people. Corvette ships, I think Hello Games may have tabled the idea amongst the offices and amongst each other, but for whatever reason couldn't deliver it at the start. They've delivered it now, which makes me feel that all this stuff that I just said about abandoned mode or even more procedurally generated planets, maybe even bringing the super formula in if they can get around patent law, it could happen if they can deliver in this technical marvel, which is these ships that you can seamlessly build in multiplayer across the galaxy as you're flying. Once all the bug fixes are done, then perhaps anything is technically possible. If they could pull off this technical wizardry, then technically any possible technical wizardry that we thought, actually no, that's too late in the game now, we're not going to see the light of day. This update took me by surprise, is what I'm saying, people. This update really has sort of shook me up and said, actually, Captain Steve, all that potential that you feel is inside of this engine, inside of this game, inside of this universe, inside of Hello Games' studio can be realised, because if they can put in something this technically crazy, 9 years after it was launched, anything's possible. It's reignited my passion. It's reignited the fire in my bellies that this game could be the best game ever. I mean, it already is for me, but I feel that it should be the best game ever for everyone that loves sci-fi. And it's slowly getting that way. You know, we didn't have multiplayer ships 2 weeks ago. We do now. What's next? What's next, people? The journey continues, in the words of Sean and the team at Hello Games. And it surely does, and I'm going to be there for that journey, people. It's like when Light No Fire launches, I would still like to say No Man's Sky is my bread and butter #1 game on my channel. And Light No Fire could just be a sister type game, like I've played, like, you know, Towers of Agasper or Real VR Fishing. You know, it's going to take a second seat. I don't feel that No Man's Sky is going to drop away from that. The only time that I might ever say, okay, well, No Man's Sky is just... it's not the game anymore. Is if they ever turn the servers off, if multiplayer disappears altogether and it doesn't get any support, no more new expeditions, no more new updates. And some people are saying, well, maybe this is the last ever update for No Man's Sky. I don't think that's the case, people. Just because Sean didn't say the journey continues at the end of the last video trailer that we had, I don't think means anything at all. I honestly think that there is a lot of life left in this game. And I'm hoping one day, maybe after Light No Fire's had a run of 10 years, we might even see something happen like a No Man's Sky rebooted on whatever generation of technology is out then. Imagine No Man's Sky with planets as varied as the planets in Light No Fire. That would just be mind-blowing, wouldn't it? Alien planets, fully diverse, realised, varied. It could be done. Just saying. Anyway, that's just a little bit of food for thought. Till next time, people. Salutamondo. Goodbye, goodbye, and goodbye again.